Your body does an amazing job of maintaining homeostasis, keeping its internal environment steady when the external environment changes. And the reason is that your body has a lot of different responses. For example, if it's very warm outside, the body might sweat to keep your body's temperature constant. Or if it's really cold outside, you might shiver to keep your body's temperature constant. Similarly, if you're exercising, your body's pulse rate and your body's breathing rate might increase to make sure that your cells get the oxygen and glucose that they need. Well, all of these body's responses are coordinated by the nervous system, and we're going to explore an overview of this system in today's video. So the function of the nervous system is to regulate all of the other body systems so that they can respond to changes in the environment. Sometimes you'll hear changes in the environment described as stressors because they stress the body. Sometimes you'll hear them described as a stimulus. And a good example of this is shown in the picture. The hot stove is a stressor that could potentially harm the body. The response, which the nervous system coordinates, is to move the hand away from the stressor, thereby maintaining homeostasis. And the mechanism that the nervous system uses to regulate these responses is fast, short-lasting electrochemical signals. And we'll find out more about those signals in a later video. We can divide the nervous system into two main parts. The first part is the central nervous system. This is kind of like the command center, and it occupies the center of your body. So it includes the brain and your spinal cord. The second part of the nervous system is the peripheral nervous system. Peripheral means to the side, and this includes all the nerves that branch out into the various sides and parts of your body. Let's take a closer look at these two parts of the nervous system. So nerves are actually bundles of specialized cells called neurons. So here's a single nerve, and within it we can see many, many neurons. Each one of these purple tubes is a neuron. And the neuron itself is covered in a special tissue called myelin. Now, because neurons are carrying electrical signals, just like telephone wires need to be insulated, neurons need to be insulated. And that's what the myelin does. Now let's look at the brain. We've already seen some parts of the brain. For example, we know that the cerebrum is responsible for thinking and reasoning, and this is particularly well developed in humans. We also know that the cerebellum is responsible for balance and motor control. The hypothalamus is a little bit new to us. This is a small but very important structure that regulates some things that you don't have to think about, like your body temperature, your hunger, your thirst, and your sleep cycle. And the medulla we've met before. The medulla also controls automatic things that you don't think about, such as your breathing rate, your heart rate, and the digestive process. All of these parts of the brain are also made of neurons. So here you can see that this cell is the superstar of the nervous system. Finally, let's look up close at the spinal cord. So here is the entire spinal cord, and you can see that it's surrounded by bony projections. Those are called vertebrae. And within the vertebra is the spinal cord itself. The spinal cord is rather complex, but we could sum it up by saying that it's made of neurons, fluid, and protective tissues. Meanwhile, again, it has these bones to protect it. So let's conclude by looking at the main mechanism by which the nervous system regulates your body's responses to change. This mechanism is negative feedback, and it's the same mechanism that a house's thermostat uses. Let's say in your house you've got a thermostat set to 72 degrees. Well, if the temperature of your house drops below that, then the heat might kick in. Once the temperature rises back to 72, then the heat turns off because everything's normal again. It's the same thing with negative feedback. There's a change in the internal or external environment, a stimulus or a stressor, so your body's conditions are disrupted. They're no longer at the target level. So your nervous system coordinates a response. Well, that response fixes the problem and returns the conditions to target level. And once we're back to target level, the response shuts off, just like the thermostat. And we saw a great example of this already when we looked at the control of breathing rate. If you're exercising, your cells are needing to make more ATP, so they release more carbon dioxide into the blood. Well, the carbon dioxide in the blood increases the pH of the blood. That acts as the stressor for the body. Your nervous system detects the rise in pH, and so it sends a signal via the nerves to the muscles and diaphragm in your lungs. And that increases the breathing rate. So the response is an increase in breathing rate. And as a result, after a while, your body is taking in more oxygen, getting rid of more carbon dioxide, and so the pH returns to normal. And then that shuts off the medulla. The medulla will no longer send as many signals to your ribs and your diaphragm, and so the breathing rate goes back to normal. It's a pretty beautiful system, and we're going to see a few more examples of it in class tomorrow.